Hey everyone, how are you all doing? Welcome or welcome back to my channel. Today we are discussing my fall TBR. I am so excited. I live for this video every single year. Curating my TBR for the fall season is absolutely one of my favorite things to do. It's just so much fun. There are so many amazing books to read at this time of the year, and personally I feel like this is one of the seasons where it's like the easiest to pick out a TBR. Lots of thriller, mysteries, horrors, spooky books, cute cozy romances. I just feel like it is the perfect season that encapsulates all of my favorite things reading wise. You also get the cozy, like dreary weather that's just perfect for like staying up late reading. I'm so excited for this season. So happy first day of fall, and let's just go through my fall TBR. I have a whole spread in my bullet journal dedicated to my fall TBR, and we are about to discuss all of these books together. I'm going to start off with some of the more romancy type books, and then we will segue into some other genres. So first up, I have the Pumpkin Spice Cafe and the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, both by Laurie Gilmore. These are books that have been blowing up over the last year or so, I would say. I've already technically started the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. I read 4 chapters in Costco while I was trying to decide whether or not to buy it. My coworker and friend Jessie absolutely loves this book. She's been screaming at me to read it for the last year, so I think it's about time that I finally give it a shot. I've heard it is perfect for fans of Gilmore Girls, which I absolutely am. I'm very excited to get into these small town autumnal romances. Hopefully I love them. I'm gonna go into them with just, you know, like the mindset that I go into for like a Hallmark Lifetime like Christmas movie, because those are cheesy and they're bad, but they're enjoyable and they're cute, and you know, you get like the vibe of the season or the holiday out of it. So I'm gonna go into these with the same like expectations, the same mood, hoping for just a cute autumnal time. Like I want a Lifetime Hallmark movie but in book form, you know. I'm hoping that's what this gives me. And then we have a reread and a newer release. The only rereads that I've included on this list are when it connects to a newer release that I want to get to or a sequel that I want to get to. There are more books that I would like to reread probably outside of this list, but I'm not prioritizing the rereads. I really need to get through some of my TBR. It has been growing exponentially since we've moved into this house and since I've gotten my job at my bookstore, so I definitely need to read those newer books. But in some cases of new releases or sequels, I want to reread the first books before getting on to the next ones. So that being said, I want to reread The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches so that I can read A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping, both by Sanguine Donna. I read this a couple of years ago now and absolutely loved it, and I've been dying waiting for this sequel to be released, this companion novel, and the release date kept getting pushed back. Like I swear this was in 2 bullet journal anticipated releases spreads before it actually came out this year. So this has been a highly anticipated release for a couple of years now, and I can't believe I haven't already gotten to it. These are just some cozy, you know, witchy romance books that I'm just obsessed with. The little blurb on Secret Society says, a warm and uplifting novel about an isolated witch whose opportunity to embrace a quirky new family and a new love changes the course of her life. It is so cute, so sweet. The love interest is a grumpy librarian, and like what more could you want? I honestly don't know what this one's about literally at all, but it says a whimsical and heartwarming novel about a witch who has a second chance to get her magical powers and her life back on track. That's all I need to know. Like really, I'm just here for the ride. I loved Sanguine Donna's writing. I loved the romance in the first book, and the main character and her story and her like arc was like so satisfying. So I'm really excited to reread this book because I feel like I don't remember enough about it and enough about the world before jumping into this one. Plus, you guys know me, I just love rereading books, so any opportunity I have to reread a book, I'm gonna take. So really excited about these ones. And then I have a couple of books that are not yet out but will potentially be out a day after this goes up. Let me double check my release dates here. So these next 2 books come out tomorrow as this video is being uploaded, so you best believe I'm going to be getting my hands on those immediately. I do work that day, so hopefully they come in on release day so that I can purchase them after my shift. But the first book is The Heartbreak Hotel by Ellen O. Clover. I don't know if this actually has any fall vibes whatsoever. I simply want to read it because it's Ellen O. Clover's newest novel. It's her first adult romance, which I am so excited for. I've loved her past 2 YA romances, and so I think it's going to be really interesting and really fun to see her transition into a more adult space. I honestly don't remember what this book's about. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like you're going to be hearing that a lot from me today. I have no idea what this book's about. I'm just here for Eleanor Clover. She's become an auto-buy author for me. I don't care what she writes, I will be buying it. The next one is Dragon Fires Everywhere by Hazel Beck. I believe this is the final book in this series. I can't remember what the series is called, but the first book is Small Town Big Magic. The second book is Big Little Spells, and I believe the third book's called Truly Madly Magically. I loved all three of those books, and I'm really excited to see this next one. I do believe it's the final one. If not, then there's one more, but I do believe this is the final installment. They are all companion novels, similar in the vein of Secret Society, where it's like a witchy romance set in a small town, and each book follows a different main character, but it still kind of follows the same overarching arc of the story. Like, it is a sequel, meaning that like you should read the other ones first because you're following a continuing story just with different main characters at the forefront. But I've loved all the books so far, and I'm really excited to see how it continues and how it potentially wraps up. I do believe this is the last one, so this is another highly anticipated release for me, and I'm hoping to read it right away, so fingers crossed. I've been kind of not reading as much recently. I've been too into like the writing hole that like reading has just taken a back seat, so hopefully I can get back on my reading game and I can read some of these new releases. I do believe that is it for all of the romancy books on my TBR. So now we're gonna segue into some like mystery thriller books, which I actually have quite a few on my list, and even more that I could potentially read, but these are the ones I want to prioritize for the season. Starting with another newer release, and that is Not Quite Dead Yet by Holly Jackson. This is her newest release and also her debut adult novel, which I'm really excited about. I've loved all of her other YA novels, so I think reading again an adult novel from her will be really interesting. I'm intrigued to see how different it's gonna feel having older characters as opposed to teenagers. I wonder if it's gonna be gorier, if it's gonna be like scarier. Like, I'm wondering what the vibe change potentially is going to be, or if it's going to feel pretty much the same, just older characters in different scenarios. I'm not entirely sure. I also don't remember what this book's about. It says, in 7 days, Jet Mason will be dead. Jet is the daughter of one of the wealthiest families in Woodstock, Vermont. 27 years old and back living with her parents, she's still waiting for her life to begin. I'll do it later, she always says. She has time. Until Halloween night. Right, okay, so I'm definitely reading this in October, kind of closer to Halloween. I'm very excited. But until Halloween night, when she is violently attacked by an unseen intruder suffering a catastrophic head injury. Doctors are certain that within a week, the injury will trigger a deadly aneurysm. That is terrifying. Jet never thought of herself as having enemies, but now she looks at everyone in a new light. Her family, her former best friend turned sister-in-law, her ex-boyfriend. She is just 7 days, and as her condition deteriorates, she has only her childhood friend Billy for help. But nevertheless, she's absolutely determined to finally finish something. Jet is going to solve her own murder. I feel like quite a few books recently have had that concept of like solving your own murder, and I find that so interesting as a concept, and I've been loving seeing how these different authors tackle that kind of concept, and I just know that Holly Jackson is going to do a phenomenal job. I honestly have not been looking at reviews of this book, so I don't know how people have been feeling about it. I'm also curious to see how it's going to end. Is it actually going to end with Jet dying of an aneurysm, or is she going to live? Like, I don't know. I think I never know what to expect when it comes to Holly Jackson. Her twists and turns in her books always take me by surprise, so I'm really excited to get into this one, and I know I'm going to love it. You can start to see my stack of books piling up here. The next one is one that I've owned for too many years, has been on too many TBRs, and I simply just need to read it or finally admit defeat and like unhaul it or something, because this is getting ridiculous, and it's The Masked Truth by Kelly Armstrong. I used to love Kelly Armstrong. She was one of my favorite authors, and I've been trying to get back into her books. She has so many books published that I have completely fallen off of them all. Like, I used to be semi up to date, and now I'm just like, there are too many. She has some romance books that I really want to get to, off topic, but my goodness. But this is a like thriller mystery book that I've had on my TBR for a really long time. It came out, I didn't buy it when it came out. I think I got it on bargain at Indigo like forever ago, but it came out in 2015, and it has been on my radar since 2015. So the last decade this book has been on my radar to read, and I just haven't gotten to it. I don't know why, but I think it's time that I finally give it a shot or just get rid of it, because it's just collecting dust on my shelves at this point. The next book is a book that's only been on my TBR and on my radar for the last year. I think it came out last year. Scholastic sent me a copy of it, and it's If Anything Happens to Me by Luann Rice. This cover, perfect fall autumnal vibes. I am obsessed with it, and that's like the main reason that I've been saving it specifically for fall, because fall is not the only time that I read mystery books, but I've been specifically saving this one because of the fall leaves on the cover. So all I know about this one is that it's basically about our main character Eloise, and her sister was murdered and her body was found in the woods. And 8 months after that, she finds another girl left for dead in the same spot, but this girl is actually alive. She has no memory of what happened to her, but Eloise is determined that she is the key to solving her sister's murder, so they join forces to kind of investigate and unravel this mystery. So that's kind of what this book's about, and I'm very, very excited about it. The next book is actually a middle grade, and it is a newer release. It is Blood in the Water by Tiffany D. Jackson. I love Tiffany D. Jackson. I've loved so many of her books, but this one's really intriguing to me because it's a middle grade book. I've never read a middle grade book by Tiffany D. Jackson. I don't know if she's had any before this one. I love the cover. I love the sprayed edges on the side that have like a bunch of birds, crows on it. So fun. And it's a short one, so I should be able to read it quite quickly. Again, don't really know what this one's about. It says, beware of sharks and secrets. Brooklyn girl Kaylani McKinnon feels like a fish out of water. She's spending the summer with family friends in their huge house on Martha's Vineyard, and the vibe is definitely snooty. Still, there are beautiful beaches, lots of ice cream, and a town full of fascinating Black history, plus a few kids her age who seem friendly. Until the shocking death of a teenage boy. Was it a drowning, a shark attack, or the unthinkable murder? Kaylani is determined to solve the mystery, but her investigation uncovers shattering secrets that could change her own life as she knows it, if she survives. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. I feel like Tiffany D. Jackson in the past has tackled like mystery-esque plot lines and has done a phenomenal job with it, so I'm really excited to see how she tackles this one, how she tackles it in a middle grade setting, like a middle grade genre. I'm really intrigued by this one, and I also have not heard anything about it, so really excited to get into this one. This was also sent to me by Scholastic. They really come in clutch with the books that they send me. They're amazing. So now I have a couple of horror novels to get through, and I don't read horror novels very often, so I'm intrigued by these books. So first we have She Is a Haunting by Trang Tan Tran. This has been on my TBR since it came out. I bought it when it came out. I've been wanting to read it since it came out. She was in Author Mentor Match with me back in 2021, so she's been on my radar for quite a long time, and for some reason I just haven't gotten to it, and I feel terrible. She has other books out now that I want to read, but I'm like, you can't read them until you read this one, so I'm just in an endless cycle. This has to be the fall season that I read this book. I'm going to go insane if I don't. Like, I need to read this one. I believe this one has a sentient house in it, and the end page is on the Barnes & Noble edition. Stunning. It says, this house eats and is eaten. When Jade arrives in Vietnam to visit her estranged father, she has one goal: survive 5 weeks pretending to be a happy family in the French colonial house Ba is restoring. She's always lied to fit in, so if she's straight enough, Vietnamese enough, American enough, she can get out with the college money he promised. But the house has other plans. Night after night, Jade wakes up paralyzed. The walls exude a thrumming sound while bugs leave their legs and feelers in places they don't belong. Every time I think about this book, I forget that that's part of it, and I read the description and it freaks me out every time. She finds curious traces of her ancestors in the gardens they once tended, and at night, Jade can't ignore the ghost of the beautiful bride who leaves cryptic warnings. Don't eat. Neither Ba nor her sweet sister Lily believe anything strange is happening. With help from a delinquent girl, Jade tries to expose the house's rotten appetite. A home, after all, is only as powerful as those who breathe new life into its bones, and this one is determined never to be abandoned again. Oh, like every time I read that description, it like freaks me out because of the bugs, but also sounds so good, and I don't know why I can't just like park my butt down and read it. Like, it needs to happen this fall, otherwise you guys can scream at me. Please, I'm begging. The last horror book is Delicious Monsters by Lizelle Sambury. I have another Lizelle Sambury book on this list that you guys will see in a minute, but this was her first horror novel, I believe, that she came out with. She has a couple now. I believe one just came out recently, so I'm very behind on Lizelle Sambury and I'm so upset about it, but this is one that I desperately need to get to, and I'm very excited about it. Again, don't remember what it's about, but the first line says Daisy sees dead people, so I'm already hooked. But it says Daisy sees dead people, something impossible to forget in bustling ghost-packed Toronto. She usually manages to deal with her unwanted ability, but she's completely unprepared to be dumped by her boyfriend. So when her mother inherits a secluded mansion in northern Ontario where she spent her childhood summers, Daisy jumps at the chance to escape. But the house is nothing like Daisy expects, and she begins to realize that her experience with the supernatural might be no match for her mother's secrets, nor what lurks within these walls. A decade later, Brittany, hey, is desperate to get out from under the thumb become of her abusive mother, a best-selling author who claims her stay at Miracle Mansion allowed her to see the error of her ways. But Brittany knows that's nothing but a sham. She decides the new season of her popular haunted web series will uncover what happened to a young black girl in the mansion 10 years prior. Is that Daisy? That's crazy. And finally expose her mother's lies. But as she gets more wrapped up in the investigation, she'll have to decide if she can only bring one story to light, which one matters most, Daisy's or her own. As Brittany investigates the mansion in the present, Daisy's story runs parallel in the past, both timelines propelling the girls to face the most dangerous monsters of all, those that hide in plain sight. Oh my goodness. Okay, I need to read this ASAP. It probably won't be till October in actuality, but I need to make this a huge priority this year. I love Lizelle Sandbury's writing, so I need to get to this. Plus, she's a Canadian author, it's set in Toronto, and I love supporting Canadian authors, so definitely need to read this one. I'm so excited. Oh, it's gonna be such like a haunting, beautiful time, I can already tell. So now I have a few like spooky specific books, and then it'll just like naturally segue into some fantasy books because they all have fantasy elements in them, but I want to like highlight the few spooky books on the TBR. Spirit Service by Serena and Sasha Nanua. This is another Canada book. I don't know who the authors are, like where they're from, or if the book takes place in Canada. Toronto. Yeah, they work at the University of Toronto. So happy to support some Canadian authors again. But this is a middle grade spooky book. Again, don't remember what it's about. It says, all Ravina Gill wants is a chance to say goodbye. It's been 6 months since her music-loving grandmother passed, and 4 since Hollow's Peak Middle School cut its entire arts budget. Now Ravina has no way to practice music, and worse, no way to honor Grandmama's memory. But Ravina's world turns on its head when she and her friends stumble upon an otherworldly discovery, an old-fashioned telephone with the ability to contact ghosts. Okay, it's coming back to me now. With her newfound possession, Ravina devises the perfect plan to raise funds for the arts program, Spirit Service, an agency that guides deceased townspeople to the afterlife by reconnecting them with their living loved ones. The best part? There are tons of spirits in need of assistance and people willing to pay big bucks to communicate with them. But not all spirits are interested in peacefully moving on. To keep their neighborhood safe, Ravina and her friends must dive into the history of their town and the mysterious zone, and in the process uncover secrets that are much closer to home. I'm so excited about this. Like, for some reason, I love ghost books, obviously, but for some reason, when it's like a spooky ghost middle grade, it just hits so much harder. I don't know why, but some of my favorite spooky books to read at Halloween time are middle grade novels. I'm so excited for this one. Again, haven't heard anything about it. I kind of just saw it at work. I believe this was our staff pick of the month, so it was like specifically displayed in our kids section, and so that got me really excited once I saw this cover. I think I also saw a customer buy it, and I was like, oh my god, that cover is beautiful. So it really worked on me. I'm so excited to get to this one. And speaking of middle grade spooky books, I have another book that's been on too many of these fall TBRs. But hopefully this year will be the year I actually read The Mystery of Black Hollow Lane by Julia Noble. Again, I don't know what it's about. Beware the Order of Black Hollow Lane. With a dad who disappeared years ago and a mother who's a bit too busy to parent, Emmy is shipped off to Wellsworth, a prestigious boarding school in England where she's sure she won't fit in. But before she leaves, Emmy finds a box of mysterious medallions in the attic of her home, medallions that belonged to her father. Her father, who may have gone to Wellsworth. When she arrives at school, she finds the strange symbols from the medallions etched into walls and books, which leads Emmy and her new friends Jack and Lola to Wellsworth's secret society, the Order of Black Hollow Lane. Emmy can't help but think that the society has something to do with her dad's disappearance, and that there may be more than just dark secrets in the halls of Wellsworth. I don't know if this is actually spooky, or if I've kind of always just assumed that it was spooky, so I guess we'll find out. But I also just saw that Julia Noble is a teacher from Canada. So again, more Canadian authors. I didn't even realize that she was Canadian. That is amazing to hear. I'm very excited to get to this one. Guys, I have to get to it this year. Okay, like it needs to happen. This is getting ridiculous. The next book has not come out yet. It's coming out in October or November. It's a good thing I have my bullet journal just like right in front of me here. It's coming out November 4th, and it is The House of Fear by Marissa Meyer. All I know about this book is that it's a Blackbeard retelling, but I know nothing about Blackbeard, and I know nothing about what this book is actually about. But I love Marissa Meyer. She's one of my favorite authors. I've got all of her books right on these 2 shelves. I'm just obsessed with her. She's an auto-buy author pretty much for me at this point, and it's a fairy tale retelling, which is what she does best in my opinion. So I'm so excited for that book, and I'll definitely be reading that when it comes out in November. I'm so excited. Marissa Meyer has been feeding us so well recently with so many books, so I'm really excited to get into a new fairy tale retelling from her. TBR. The next book is What Wakes the Bells by Elle Tesh. This is a new release of this year as well. Elle is actually a friend of mine and she did a signing at my Indigo and I got her to sign it for me. So cool. I'm so bad with book descriptions. I'm so sorry, you guys. I'm also tired. I had to wake up early today for work and I'm just like, I'm gone. But it says on the description, built by long gone saints, the city of Viwen lives and breathes and bleeds. As a keeper, Mina knows better than most what her care of Vawen's bells means for the sentient city. It's the Strauss family's 1,000-year legacy. Prevent the vespers from ringing or they will wake a slumbering evil. One afternoon, to Mina's horror, her bell peals 13 times, shattering the city's tenuous peace. With so much of the city's history and lore lost in a long ago disaster, no one knows the danger that has been unleashed until the city begins to fight back. As the sun sets, stone gargoyles and bronze statues tear away from their buildings and plinths to hunt people through the streets. Trapped in Mina's bell, the soul of a twisted and power-hungry saint festered. Now free of his prison, he hides behind the face of one of Viwen's citizens, corrupting the city and turning it on itself. As the death toll rises, the only chance Mina has to stop the destruction and horrific killings is finding and destroying the saint's host. Everyone is a suspect, including Mina's closest loved ones. She will have to decide how far she'll go to save her city and who she's willing to kill to do it. Again, Canadian author as well, a local Canadian author, so that's also very exciting. I'm loving how many Canadian authors I have on this list. It's very beautiful. Then we have The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. This one would also be like in November time. This one I'm thinking is probably going to be less prioritized amongst the other books. I bought this book last year and have been itching to read it, but for some reason I just can't make myself read it. I think I'm intimidated. I think I'm scared. I also really want to love it because of how beautiful it is, and I think that's preventing me. I don't know what this is about. I don't feel like reading the description, but it is a high fantasy series. I believe there are like 5 books, 4 or 5 or 6. I don't know. There's a lot of books in the series and I really want to love it. So please yell at me to read this book. I need to read it. The next one involves another reread, and that is A Study in Drowning by Ava Reed. I read this for the first time last year during my Start of Fall reading vlog, which by the way, I have a whole playlist that I will link down below of all my fall Halloween-y videos. So you guys can go watch those if you are looking for some more of that kind of content. But I read this for the first time last year in that video and I loved it. It was like the perfect fall book to read. I was obsessed with it. And now there is a sequel out called A Theory of Dreaming, which I didn't even know when I was reading this book that it was going to have a sequel, and then I found out that there was a sequel and I died. I was so excited. Like, what do you mean I get to see my characters again? I'm really excited to get to this one. These also have the stunning editions with the sprayed edges that look like bookshelves, and I'm just like dying. Like, this is the best thing that I've ever seen in my life and it's so satisfying. But yeah, definitely excited to do a reread of this one and to get to this one. I do believe these were on my TBR for September, so we'll see if I actually get to them this month. But definitely at some point during the fall, these need to be read. I'm literally so excited. I've got 3 books left, so the next one is Blood Like Fate by Lizelle Sambury. This has also been on too many TBRs. I've had too many intentions to read this book and not doing it. Like, I even reread Blood Like Magic, which is the first book in the series, to read this one, and then I just never did. This is the sequel, like I said, to Blood Like Magic. It is a fantasy series set in Toronto about like witches kind of vibe. A whole lot of things happen in the first one and I need to know what happens next. I just for some reason can't sit down to read this book. It's driving me insane. So Brittany, sit down and read this book. Like, what are you doing? So hopefully I can finally get to this one. Like I said, I love Lizelle Sambury's writing, so like I really just need to sit down and read it. Another reread of This Ravenous Fate by Haley Dennings so that I can read the sequel, Our Vicious Descent. Source Books was so kind to send me this copy with the beautiful sprayed edges and also send me the ARC copy of Our Vicious Descent. I'm so excited. All you need to know: black vampires set in 1920s Harlem, New York. Lesbian vampires specifically. Very exciting. I love Haley. She's one of my close writing friends and I'm just so excited to reread this book because I need to have the full impact of everything and then to get into Our Vicious Descent. It's going to be so good. I need to see how things wrap up in this duology and I'm just so proud of Haley that I need to read this and love it, and I'm so excited. So that was my entire fall TBR. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a huge thumbs up. Comment down below and tell me the books that you were planning to read this fall, or if you've read any of these books, let me know your thoughts on them down below. Subscribe if you've not yet already, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!